Did I need that? What is going on, shrimp keepers? Good morning. It is Wednesday, which is hump day, which is also shrimp day. We've coined it. And man, what a week. I can only begin to express to you what kind of week that it has been. It's actually been more like a couple weeks, but it's been a lot. So good morning to everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see Joe's Shrimp Shack, first one in the house. Just so you guys know, it's members only chat this week. We rotate back and forth every other week. And so this week it's members only chat. So Joe, thank you so much for being here. Poor Joe. Let me just say, he even just said, you're live. So Joe has been trying to get a hold of me, just so much. Poor guy. Joe, I'm sorry. It's been so busy. I texted him yesterday and I just told him we have so much going on, which I'll get to in our update. But it's just been insane. We literally have so much going on right now that it's hard to manage it all. And then on top of that, I'm supposed to go to Disney World on Saturday, and our person that was supposed to watch our dogs kind of backed out last minute, and we're like, oh no. So then we had a backup, and then the backup couldn't do it. And then we reached out to some friends and we can't find anybody. So then I'm kind of stressing about that. And I'm just like, man, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to go to Disney because I got so much going on. So it's just crazy. So there's just so much going on. IBU Sam, thank you so much for tuning in. Good morning to you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing good. Multi-Tang Addiction, good morning, Chris. Hopefully you're doing good as well. I need to reach out to you because I know you're coming to Dallas, and I want to get some more information, make sure we got you a badge, all that kind of stuff. Joe says, I need 10 minutes. Can I talk to you, please? Yeah, dude, I will do my absolute best today to give you a call. It's just oh, guys, if you only knew. It is so wild right now. We literally have deadline after deadline after deadline, and everything's coming down to this has to be done by this date, and so we just have to do what we have to do to get it done, and then this has to be done by this date in order for this thing to work. And if any piece of the puzzle falls out of place, we're in trouble. And the reason that it's so rough is because Black Friday is coming up. Black Friday is coming so fast, and we just have to be so prepared for Black Friday. Just that is our Super Bowl of the year. And so we just got to be ready for it. CV, good morning to you. Top of the morning, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, poor Chris. I have been trying to reach you too. LOL. I'm sorry, man. If yeah, it's my life is crazy right now. 100%. My life is absolutely crazy. And then we have a baby on the way, so that's super exciting. But come the end of November, I'm gonna be out of the picture, just kind of in the background. I'll still do my live streams and stuff, but as far as the day-to-day business stuff, I have to be completely ready to step out of it so that my team can just take over. MTLI, thank you so much for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Shrimp Fam. And thank you for being here. I really do appreciate that. And thank you so much for signing up to be a member. That's just awesome. I really do appreciate it. CV said, Rob, it shows that the current stock of cherries are male heavy. When will you get them girls? So we actually, this all comes down to timing. We actually have an import arriving October 20th or sooner, which is 2 weeks from today. So we have so much to get done before that order can actually arrive. And we're having hiccups, and we're having this, and we're having that. So now if you place an order and you're like, hey, please, can I have more females than males? I promise you that my team will do the absolute best they can do to accommodate your request. So just quick story, why the cherry stock is currently male heavy is I always order 3 bags of female and male mix and 1 bag of males for each pond. So it comes out to 800 plus 20%, so 960 shrimp per pond. This time, I made an oopsie because I was in such a hurry. There were so many things going on. This had to line up, that had to line up. We had to drive to Chicago to pick up the order. So much stuff that I accidentally did the reverse. So I ordered 3 bags of males and 1 bag of female, which means that there's a lot more males than females. But the good thing is most of the males that they send are just juvenile shrimp. And so a lot of the time they can turn into females. So it's crazy. So that's my boo-boo. Multi-tank addiction said, "You're a busy man. We know and understand." Yeah, I don't know how it keeps happening. I always think that like I'm not gonna be as busy. Like I'm turning the corner. Things are gonna free up, and it just doesn't happen that way. Luckily, we made some new hires, which I'll get to all that in the update section. But let's go ahead and move forward with the live stream. I want to get this pulled up for you guys. So we'll go to the motivational quote of the day. My favorite part. Actually, you know what? This used to be my favorite part. I think my favorite thing now is talking about the updates on the business, because there's so many things going on that it's just a lot of fun to share with you guys what's going on in Flip Aquatics. But I still love the motivational quote of the day. So this is something I saw on Facebook. And I see everything on Facebook. Like now that I'm in the algorithm, they just send me so many motivational like quotes and stuff. And so whenever I see one that's really good, I share it. I see Taylor's in the house. Simply Beta. Let's give her a shout out real quick before we really dive into this. Simply Beta, thank you so much for being here. All right. So the 2 things in life you are in control over are your attitude and your effort. So I absolutely love this. And I know I've shared this story before, but there was a time in my life, it was during football, when I was going to football and it was 2 days. Like they're like the longest practices. Like they're so long that you like take naps in the locker room between practices. Like they feed you because you're there all day. And I remember like the beginning of the day is defense and the end of the day is offense, or vice versa. And so when I first started, they had me do both. Like I was on scout team offense and scout team defense. So like it is nonstop, a lot of work. And you're going like as a sophomore, you're going to get up against like all the kids that are the starters. And it's just crazy. And then I remember like going home and talking to my uncle, and I'm just like, man, like I hate that I have to do both. Like I just like defense. Like I don't know why they have me do scout team. He's like, if you're gonna be there, be there. And I was just like, well, that's a stupid thing to say. And then I started thinking about it. He's like, listen, you have to be there no matter what, right? Like you're there, you're at practice, whether you're standing on the sideline or you're in the drills. Like it doesn't matter, you're there. And he's like, if you're gonna be there, you better be there. So that means like if you're there, you might as well give it your effort and be the best that you can be. And if you're doing offense, like you might as well be the best offensive lineman that you can be. And I was just like, you know what? That doesn't make sense, because like your time is the valuable thing. And so you might as well be there and be doing the thing that you're supposed to be there for, and then just wasting time. So like I have that philosophy even with work. Like I think like it stuck as a kid, like, you know, as a sophomore in high school, it kind of just sunk in with me. And so then I always live by this philosophy of like, if I'm going to be somewhere to do something, I might as well do it to 100% of my ability. And so like, that's where like my effort came from. So like this really spoke to me for that reason. And I'll talk about attitude too. The 2 things in life you are in total control over are your attitude and your effort. So like that was effort for me. Now attitude, you guys are going to like this one. So I grew up like the most stubborn child in the whole world. Like you can talk to my mom, you can talk to my grandma. Like my grandma, my aunt still tell me this day that they took me on vacation a couple times with my cousin, and they said it was the worst decision they ever made because I was so bad. And they're like, you know, I was just a stubborn kid. And when I used to go to school, like my mom would ask me every day, like, hey, honey, like, how was your day? Like, tell me something good that happened. And oh no, she would always ask me, she's like, were you good today? And I was like, I was as good as I could be. And it came to the point where like my mom actually had to come to school and volunteer just because like I was acting out. And there's a longer story to that, but there was a reason for it, which I'm sure I'll get into at some point if you keep watching these live streams. But anyway, fast forward to college. And this all comes down to attitude, and I promise I'll relate this. But in college, we had to do a personality study or test in, I want to say, my sophomore year. And I did this personality test. I got my results back, and it basically said that like I was a person that was super stubborn. I wasn't going to succeed in the workplace. Like I would never like be a good leader, and like all these things that like I aspired to be. It was telling me I wasn't going to be. And I was like, oh, this test is absolute BS. Like, screw this test. And so the teacher came up there and she said something that sticks with me still this day. She got up there and she's like, hey, everybody, like, you got your test back, you got your results. And she's like, before you jump to conclusions, let me walk through this with you. And I was like, okay. And she's like, there's a couple ways you can respond. One, you can respond to this test and be like really happy with the results, continue doing what you're doing, and you're going to be successful. And so a lot of people are like, oh yeah. She's like, there's another way you can respond. You can look at this test and be like, oh, like I didn't get the results I want. This test doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. It's broken. It means nothing. She's like, you can definitely do that. Or you can choose to decide that you don't like the results that you see. And you can make a conscious effort today to change the results. And I was just like, okay. And she's like, there is only one person in your life that can change how you are, and it's yourself. You have to realize that you are somebody that is doing something that you don't like, and you need to self-evaluate and fix yourself. And so in that moment, I made a vow to myself that I already had the effort thing down, but the attitude was something that I really struggled with. And so I decided that I knew what I wanted to be. I knew that I wanted to run a business. I knew that I wanted to start my own business eventually, do something unique. And I was never going to do it if I didn't have the right attitude. And so you guys know me now. Like I'm always positive. Like I'm always looking at the bright side of things. I'm always looking at a glass half full instead of half empty. Like I am always the person that sets my eyes on the positivity. And it all comes down to attitude. And it's so important. Like there's so many people in life. Like it takes the same amount of effort to look at something positive than it does negative. It's the same amount of effort. You literally decide, do you want to look at it in a negative way, or do you want to look at it in a positive way? And 99% of the time, it always turns out in a positive way. Only that 1% of the time does it actually go negative. And so if you're sitting there putting all your effort to thinking the worst of the worst of the worst, and then it doesn't happen, think of all those sleepless nights that you had. Think of all that stress that you put on yourself that you didn't need to. And so for me, I look at everything in the most positive way, and I self-evaluate every day. Every day I look at like, did I do something wrong in this situation? If I did, I want to fix it. And so again, it all comes down to attitude and effort, and you are 100% controlling both. If you're going to do something, do it. Don't just be someone that just shows up and like, goes through your day. Like, there's so many people I know that just show up to work and they literally just like do the bare minimum to get through the day. And it's like, well, I'll never be recognized. Like, hard work's never rewarded. It's like, if you put in the work, you will always be rewarded. I transferred to play football at a big school, division one school. I transferred to a division one school to play football. And there were people that said the politics, like you'll never get to play this, that, and the other. I put in the effort every single day. And my junior year, when I was going to start, the day before the game, a kid came up to the kid that was hurt that originally had my spot got hurt. So I played the first game of the year. The second game of the year, the kid was better, and they were going to put him back in. And the whole team recognized how much effort I put in. So they came out and they pulled the coaches aside, and they're like, we want Lupton to play. We want Rob to play. And we don't want this other kid. Other kid didn't earn it. He didn't work for it. We want Rob to play. And so they're like, okay. So they pulled me aside and they're like, listen, it's a really tough team. And they're like, we're going to put you in, but if we start seeing you get beat, we're going to pull you out. I was like, okay. That game was broadcast on our local news station. It was filmed. And I was the first defensive lineman to ever get the MVP of the game, that game. And then from there on out, I started, no problem. And it's like effort is everything. Attitude is everything. I could have been like, well, screw these guys. Like I put in the work. Like I don't even care if I play. So it's all about how you respond to stuff. So that quote means a ton to me. So hopefully you guys like that. And yeah, I went a little bit long on that just because like there's some really good stuff to pull out of that. But yeah, it's just I love it. I mean, it's just a lot of it's a lot of all in your head. Like it's all about attitude and it's all about effort. And are you going to give your best attitude and are you going to give your best effort every single day? And I definitely choose to do that. Some days, you know, I drag a little bit more than others. But just talking with you guys already got me cheered up. So let me give you a little update on the business. You guys are going to like this. So I don't know if we decided that we were going to do it this way or this way. But we'll do it this way. You guys let me know in the chat whether you prefer to see a little tiny picture of me or you just like it, just the full on picture. We'll do it this way until I hear back from you guys. But yeah, so this is the beginning of the update. This is our new employee, Brandon. He started Monday, and we literally pulled him aside. And we're like, Brandon, listen, we want to do your training program. We want you to be successful here. But if you could push off your training program for a week, we have a project that really needs done. And he already was into aquariums. Great guy, super funny, has a great personality, super positive. And I was like, if you could push off your training program and we start you on moving tanks, would that be okay? He's like, I'm in, like whatever you need. And he always says that he likes being the person, like, you know, how you have a favorite tool you always go to, like a Swiss Army knife that has all these different tools on it. Whenever you need a project done, you go and get that because you know it has the right tool on it. Like his goal is to be that tool for us. And so he's like, whatever you need. So this was him this morning. I went and took pictures of the team. They're working hard already today in moving tanks. So this is Brandon. Shout out to our new employee. And so I'll just go through here and point some things out. These are the rows in the Carradina room, our former Carradina room. I mean, still technically because there's a bunch of tanks up. But you can see like that the water that's come down underneath the rack right here. And just as a reminder for all of you that haven't followed up until this point, we are tearing down a complete room of over 100 tanks just so that we can fix the walls and get rid of any mold that's in there and fix the problem for good. And so it's been a crazy process. And so this is one rack. You can see like all these ones with sticky notes are already drained and empty. We just need to clean them. All these ones are all breeding racks. Our breeding tanks. We're actually moving all the ones with sticky notes. We're moving over into this room that I'm in right now, and they will go on these tanks behind me. And so a lot of cool stuff. There's Brandon again. He's in the next row. He was actually draining some tanks. So you can see like this is the old crystal rack. We got a lot of tanks moved. We got a ton of like moss and subwasser tang and different things in there. You're starting to see some empty places. And then we jump over here, and then we got Seath and Mark both working. And this rack right here was the blue bolt rack with deep blue bolts, mostly blue bolts, and what is it? And then just regular blue bolts. Sorry. And so this rack, they got one tank left up here that has shrimp in it, and then they got 2 Odo sinkless tanks down here that they're actually moving. So this rack is really close. They got this whole side done, so that's really good. And then Tyler was over there too. Tyler's our manager right now. He's doing a phenomenal job. And this is one of our new employees too. I don't think I've gotten Alex on camera yet, but this is Alex. Her and her husband her husband came in today to help us too, just to really give us a head start on the day. And so shout out to the whole team. They're working hard and getting a lot of stuff done. So this is like a big picture of the Carradina room. So here's Alex creeping around the corner again. And here's Brandon working hard. Again, we got Seath in the back corner. We got a little bit of Mark showing. And this is like a ton of tanks already taken down, already moved. A lot of stuff going on. CV said, Brandon's our new favorite employee. Hashtag Brandon Army. I love it. That's funny. So there's just a lot of good stuff going on. And then we're moving all the tanks that are drilled on the backside. So like, where is it? This rack right here, these are all drilled on the backside, so we actually can't convert them to this building because all the tanks are going to be running parallel, I think would be the right word, instead of horizontal. I don't know. But they're going to be running a long way so you can see the whole tank instead of just having a little window into the front. So those tanks are actually staying, so we had to clean them out. And so we've been putting them. There's Brandon again. What a good guy. So we've been putting them out in the hallway. We're cleaning them, setting them out there. And then when we're all said and done, moving the room and treating the mold and all that, then we can move the tanks back in there. There is no project without broken tanks. In full transparency, this tank didn't break during moving, but I just used it as an example because we did break one. So this tank was just sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I'll take a picture of that because we definitely broke a tank already, and I'm sure there's going to be more today. But yeah, so that's what's going on. And this is Dimitri. This is Alex's husband, and so he came in. He's helping out, and so he's with Marcus, and they're going to be drilling tanks today. But this is what the racks currently look like. Like this is literally taken, 45 minutes or less before this live stream. Like I want to give you like the most up-to-date information and show you what's going on. So obviously we got all Mark's tools over here. We got all my electrical supplies over here. I was able to wire in this rack finally. And one thing we didn't know when we got these new lights is they put off a ton of heat. So like literally the basement usually sits at like 76 degrees, which is pretty hot. We need to get a AC unit for there. But it usually sits at 76. I would have to say that's probably 80 degrees on there today. So not ideal conditions for Caradina, but we're going to persevere and we're going to make it through it. So this is something that I did. Now, granted, pardon the mess. This is literally how the station looks right now. I mean, it might have gotten worse before, while I was up here doing this live stream, but I want to show you this. So like I was able to wire in these racks and I put a light switch and a GFCI or GFI, however you want to say it. And that's so that, when we have a sink right here, they'll be able to plug stuff in. There's a light switch to turn on this side of the rack. And then there's also a light switch on the opposite side of the rack that turns on the other side of the rack. And so it's good to be an electrician. It's good to know how to do this stuff. And so it turned out pretty darn good. The only thing is like those lights put off some freaking heat. And so that will be interesting just to see how that goes. This rack we did finish. Mark finished it last night. He finished the air line up top, which was one of the last things he finished. He finished the drain line yesterday. All the plumbing's done. And our pressure pump is working phenomenally. I know I talked about it before, but we put in this pressure pump. I don't think I have a picture of it on here. I might. Let me see. We'll check. We'll check. There might be a pressure pump picture on here, but if not, things are working great. And remind me at the end to talk about it. So we did move over some shrimp. These guys have been over there for 2 days. Not a single issue. Crystal reds. And then we also moved over some deep blue bolts right away to see how they would do just to make sure. So far, so good. And just to point out, we got a large decaf coffee, pumpkin spice, and almond milk today. Let me just go on a tangent real quick. So, National Coffee Day or whatever, you get a free medium coffee, but you have to have the app. You have to have like the Dunkin' Donuts app. So I go on National Coffee Day. I literally go there every single day. I get a coffee. I get a breakfast sandwich or a slice of avocado toast or a pumpkin donut if I'm feeling chunky that day. So I go there every day. I probably spend, $7-8 a day. So you add that up. That's a lot of money in a month, $240. You would think the girls that know me by name would be like, hey, it's National Coffee Day. Coffee's on us, or just so you know, you could sign up. Nobody told me anything. So my employees come in and they're just like, did you get your free coffee today? I'm like, no, like seriously, like what is going on here? And so I decided that, okay, I'm going to sign up for this DD perks, the Dunkin' Donuts perks. Signed up for it. Free, baby. I got this baby free this morning. So Dunkin' Donuts don't know what they did because I've gotten like 5 free coffees so far because apparently I go so much. And so now they lost, I'm sure like $20 a month in revenue. So, yeah, how do you like that, Dunkin' Donuts, you jerks? So I still love Dunkin' Donuts, by the way. I'm just being dramatic for effect. But anyway, yeah. So got my free coffee today, so I made up more than enough for National Coffee Day when no one told me. Moving on. Sorry for my tangent. We go back over here. Oh, there's Mark. There's my buddy Mark. He is actually drilling tanks today. He wasn't super thrilled about being on camera, but he doesn't have a choice. He's one of the only people that doesn't have a choice. I'll always get him on camera. So apparently I didn't know how bad this picture was. I don't even know. He's moving it, so that's why it looks so bad. This right here is a little like RO water line. I think it's like 3/8 or something. And then it's actually right here. He's moving it, so it looks like a shadow, but it's not a shadow. And it's actually spraying water this way. And the reason I took this picture is because we plumbed this thing in specifically for drilling tanks. And so like this right here, these horsies and all this stuff, this is all for drilling tanks. And so we have 90-ish tanks to drill today. 45 honestly would be enough. But we got a ton of tanks to drill today. Dimitri and Mark will be working on that all day. Here's our template. And yeah, looking good. So I didn't have a picture of the pressure tank, but it is right here. If you can see that, there's actually, this is our RO tank right here. We have 6 of those. They're 275-gallon totes a piece. And then they all link together in pipes under here. And then the pipe actually comes out and it comes to this like little T that goes into our pressure pump. And this actually goes to our tanks right there, that line. And then this, if we turn that on, it would just drain all of our RO tanks. So we have that set up just in case, like, we get something in the water or something, we can drain it and it all would be good. But yeah, so this pressure pump, phenomenal. Now, if it only works for a month, then I would say that it's junk. But if it works the way that it worked yesterday and the day before, and it's going to work today, then I would recommend it to absolutely everybody. I might even do a dedicated video on it because I love it that much. So that's what's going on. Oops. I always think I'm on a different screen. That's what's going on as far as an update for Flip Aquatics. Now, what do we get into next? Now we get into actually the fun stuff. What you guys have been waiting for, the shrimp tip of the week. So this week, we're talking about 3 tools that every shrimp keeper should have. 3 tools. So we're going to get into that in a second. I got to say, best pun of the day, Simply Beta. The racks look flipping awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. Taylor is coming to Aquashella. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we just convinced her. She's coming. So excited. She's doing an aquascape contest, all kinds of stuff. So Taylor's going to be super involved and really excited to catch up with her. I haven't seen her in like 2 years, a little bit over. CV said that pumpkin spice is every day. We know you every day. Until pumpkin spice is gone, that is going to be my go-to drink until it's gone. Oh, I love it. I love it. I miss Dunkin' Donuts. We don't have one here anymore. Oh, if my Dunkin' Donuts went out of business, I can't even tell you the sorrow that I would feel in my heart. I love Dunkin' Donuts so much. My mother-in-law always tells me that I need to do an intervention because I go to Dunkin' too much. But I tell her, like, if you did an intervention for every single person that got coffee in the morning, you would do it with like 90% of the country. Probably not that many, but you guys get the point. So anyway, shrimp tip of the week. So 3 tools that every shrimp keeper should have. Now, I may just go over these and show you guys them on our website just so you can see what they are and I can explain more about them. Now we'll do that in a little bit. I don't want it to seem salesy or anything. Before we go anywhere further, Anthony Rodriguez becoming a member of the Flip Aquatics family. Anthony, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here, brother. And so yeah. So anyway, moving right along for the 3rd time, the shrimp tip of the week. Let's talk about 3 tools that every single shrimp keeper should have. Now, the very, very first. Now, let me go back a little bit. This is all following up based on our conversation last week. Last week, we talked about bacterial infections, right? And we talked about Maricin being a phenomenal product. If you guys missed that, I highly recommend you going back and watching last week's episode, at least the shrimp tip of the week, because this is going to follow through with that. And then today we'll carry on to next week. So the very, very first thing that I want to talk about is bacteria. So bacteria is the number one killer of shrimp, both good and bad. So good bacteria, it's a killer of a shrimp when we don't have enough of it. Bad bacteria, it's a killer when we have too much of it or any of it at all. And so the first thing that I'm going to recommend, I am just going to share my screen just because it's going to be so much easier for you guys. Let me do this too. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Now you guys can see it real nice and big. Maricin. We talked about this last week. This is the best treatment for bacterial infection in shrimp. If you are doing everything right in your tank and you're having mysterious deaths, and it's 1 death, then 2 deaths, then 3, and then 4, it's almost always bacterial infection. Bacteria is that one thing. It's a silent killer. You can never see it. Every once in a while, you'll be able to see a red spot on a shell, or you'll be able to see like, the milkiness of the body. Like there's ways that you can see it, but a lot of time you're never going to see it, and it can wipe out your whole colony. So Maricin is an amazing product that you should always have in your arsenal. It is just absolutely phenomenal. Now there's other forms that you could get. Like you don't have to get Maricin from Fritz or from Flip Aquatics. I think erythromycin is the equivalent. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure erythromycin is the equivalent. So I know API sells it. I personally use Fritz. I have a great relationship with them. I'm not sponsored by them, but they do hook me up with some products. So maybe that's considered a sponsorship. I don't know. Full transparency, but phenomenal product. We talked more deeply about it last week, but just real quick to give you a little bit more information on it. How I treat this is we do a half dose on day 1 and then do a break on day 2. And then on day 2, if there's deaths, we treat it with ACCR or shrimp prep, which we'll get to in a little bit. That's one of our other tools. Day 3, if we're still having deaths, we treat it a second time. And then day 4, we do water change and then treat it with Turbo Start or Florinbacter 1. And then along the way, we're always treating it with ACCR. So basically, that is our process. And that leads into kind of our next thing, which I guess this was stupid of me. I need to switch tabs. So whatever. You guys get it. So our next product that I'll talk about is I brought up ACCR and shrimp prep. So ACCR is by Fritz Aquatics. We can talk about that one first. This is a tool that every shrimp keeper should have, because like this is if I don't know what's going on in an aquarium, this is what I use. ACCR is ammonia chlorine chloramine remover. So it eliminates chlorine and chloramines. It detoxifies ammonia. It doesn't affect the pH. It says it's safe for fresh and salt water, which doesn't matter for us. And it's safe to overdose. This is the biggest thing. A lot of we'll use Seachem Prime or even Fritz Complete as an example. If you dose Seachem Prime in an environment that doesn't have good oxygen exchange, you can suffocate your shrimp. And so if you're treating with Maricin's potentially going to cut down on the oxygen exchange. It's going to reduce the amount of oxygen in the water. And then all of a sudden you put you're having deaths and you put something like this in there, or something like Seachem Prime or whatever it's called. I think it's Seachem Prime or Fritz Complete. You have a good chance of suffocating your shrimp if you don't have good oxygen exchange. So this is a great product to have, simply for the fact that this is not going to deplete your oxygen exchange in your water. And so even with acclimation, when you're getting shrimp in, let's say you got shrimp in the mail and one of the shrimp died in the bag. Now all of a sudden the ammonia's through the roof. What are you going to do? Are you going to net all the shrimp out, hurry up, get them out there, throw them in the tank and hope for the best? No, you still should drip acclimate them. And what you do is use a product like ACCR to eliminate the ammonia that's in the water, make it non-toxic, so that you can take time to go through and make sure that your shrimp are properly acclimated without worrying about spikes in ammonia. So if I go back, shrimp prep is pretty much the exact same thing. It's not as severe as like a prime or a complete, but it's still a great neutralizer of ammonia, of chlorine. It's they say that they neutralize heavy metals, but I would just say, like, assume that they don't. You should never use it to detoxify heavy metals. Like if you have a tank that has you treated with copper before and now you want to use it for shrimp, like it's good to use on tap water coming right out of the spigot just to neutralize some things. It's good to use during acclimation. It's good to use if you're using even well water for water changes. There's a lot of great uses for it. If you're treating with Maricin, and you're losing your bacteria, your good bacteria, you're not going to be processing that ammonia. And so it's a great thing to use while you're treating with Maricin. And so ACCR Shrimp Prep, great products to use. And I highly recommend any shrimp keeper that is wanting to do things right and wants to be prepared for like a catastrophe. That's the word I was trying to get out. That was tough. A catastrophe. If they want to be prepared for that like worst case scenario, Maricin, Shrimp Prep, ACCR, those are things that you want to have on hand. Now, oops, I skipped ahead. I went too far. I ruined the surprise. You guys didn't see it though. This is the next thing that I want to recommend. Again, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. Not having a cycle tank will kill your shrimp. Shrimp cannot tolerate ammonia spikes. They just can't. Like, I mean, if it's like the tiniest little spike, like it's probably going to be okay. But like most of the time, you're not going to realize an ammonia spike until it's too late. Turbo Start by Fritz Aquatics is the best bacteria on the market. Hands down. I use it in every single one of our tanks that has a pH above 7. So that's the big thing to know here. This will not work if your pH is below 7. If you do not have KH, carbonate hardness in your water, this bacteria will not work. So don't even get it. So Neocaridina, most fish tanks, all that stuff, snail tanks, this is going to work great. This is going to cycle your tank immediately. Now, even if you say like, hey, like I already have a cycle tank, I don't need this product. If you have to treat with Maricin, you're going to kill all your good bacteria and you're going to need this after it's all said and done. So it is just a great product to have. And let's say like you have a ton of babies and then all of a sudden you're having some deaths. Like it is a good thing whenever you have a spike in deaths, just to throw a little bit extra bacteria in there, help it process that ammonia. And so Turbo Start is just a phenomenal option that I highly recommend shrimp keepers to keep on hand, even fish keepers. So you got Turbo Start, which is a live bacteria. You got Maricin, which is to treat bad bacteria. And then you got Shrimp Prep and ACCR, which is good products just for the what if scenarios. Like, what if I get a shrimp that arrived dead and there's ammonia in the bag? Boom. What if I have to treat for Maricin and I'm still having deaths and the bacteria can't process the ammonia because I'm killing all the bacteria? Shrimp Prep. What if I have a random death and I don't know what's going on? Shrimp Prep. Like, it's not going to hurt to dose this. It's only going to help. And so you really can't overdose. I mean, like, don't dump the whole bottle into a 5-gallon tank. But be diligent, follow the instructions to the best ability, and you're not going to have anything really go wrong. So the only other thing that I could talk about is let me see if I can find it. Live bacteria. So for shrimp tanks, the other thing that you could do for like Caridina would be Florinbacter 1. So again, this is a bottled bacteria. It has a shelf life of like, I want to say 2 years, maybe. So this is a unique bacteria. It's not going to develop as quick in your tank. So it's going to take, like, I think this says aquariums usually cycle within 2 weeks. So like, this is not something that you dose and then add a ton of shrimp to. This is something that like you could dose, add shrimp to it, but you need to dose it every day for like a week or 2 weeks. And then it works. So it's still good. The good thing about low pH tanks is ammonia is a lot less toxic. So you really aren't going to run into as many issues. But there you have it. Those are 3 tools. And I guess it's like 6 different items that you could get. But there's 3 tools: a dechlorinator, a live bacteria, and a antibacterial to just the what if scenario in case you have something go wrong. So those are the 3 things that I would highly recommend you guys always having in your arsenal. So let's do a little Q&A and see what you guys have to say. If there's any questions involving any of that stuff. Anthony Rodriguez says, I just got my first cherry shrimp. How long does it usually take before breeding behavior starts? So it depends on how old they are. If you got them from us, then I would say that they're ready to breed because most of them come in buried when we get them. And so they're already ready to breed. So it just depends on the quality of your tank. Like, what's your water like? Is it similar to our water? Usually during the fall, though, you'll get some breeding going on. So I would say if all things check out, everything's great, you should see a buried female in the next month. That would be my guess. But it all depends on how old they are and all the other factors that go into it. Eduardo, good morning to you, my friend. Said, good morning, Rob. Well, thank you. Good morning to you too. And said, my question, should you use Maricin as a preventative method when getting new shrimp? Well, let me tell you what we do. And maybe I can answer your question with a story. So here at Flip Aquatics, we get in 20, 30,000 shrimp at a time. That's a lot of shrimp. So what we actually do is we will bring all of our shrimp in and we will dose all of our neocaridinae with Maricin when we get them in. And that way, when they're going into the tank, like let's say if we put them in a pond that already had shrimp in the pond like a month ago, there's still some bacteria in there. There's been no living shrimp in there for a month. So like bacteria could always go bad. The shrimp just spent a lot of time in the bag. There could have been some ammonia in there. There could have been a shrimp that had parasites. There could be a shrimp that was sick. That shrimp could have died. Other shrimp could have ate it. So like a lot can happen during shipping. So what we do is we want to put the shrimp right in the pond, and then we want to treat them with Maricin to kill any bacteria that's in there. And then after a day, we'll treat it with ACCR. We'll see what the deaths are like. And then we'll either do a water change and turbo start that following day, or we'll do Maricin again. And so we always use Maricin as a preventative when getting shrimp. Now, if you got shrimp from us and we ship them out and, we put 10 in a bag, they've already been, pretty much like as strong as they could be. We've already treated them for bacteria. Like they're good to go. If we're sending them, they're good. If you get our shrimp in the mail, then, if the regular shipping was 3 days and you got them quick and you put them in your tank, I would say like you probably shouldn't treat with Maricin because they've already had it. But it wouldn't necessarily hurt. I just wouldn't do it in your normal tank because then you would kill your whole beneficial bacteria load for no reason. But I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. So like if you're buying them from a random source, for sure, I would treat for parasite. I would do a salt dip. Like I would do as much as I could to make sure those shrimp are good to go before I put them in my tank. But knowing that we do all that stuff beforehand, I would say like when you're buying from us, I don't think you would need to. Great question though. Joseph said, I use Maricin as part of my trio of quarantine products for everything that comes into the fish room. Yeah. We use for fish, we use Maricin, we use General Cure, and then obviously we use Quick Cure if we need it. We don't do Quick Cure unless no, depending on who we get it from. We do Quick Cure day one no matter what, because sometimes we just know it's going to be a huge possibility coming from this source. So yeah, there's definitely some good med trios out there. Oops. Let's see what else we got. Joe's going live after this. He said at store getting set up for live stream after yours ends at 10, which is 10 Central Time, I think. Does Purigen accomplish the same thing? So I personally have not used Purigen, so I cannot speak from experience. If I looked it up, I'd be able to give you like a rough idea, but I would say like let me just look it up just so I can give you guys my opinion. I know Purigen. I've always looked at Purigen. Now, this is just my ignorance because I've never used it. I mean, I've maybe used it, but not that I remember. Purigen, I've always looked as like carbon. Like, yeah, you can use carbon in a tank, but it's going to take out like all the tannins and stuff like that, the things that we're trying to put into the tank. So highest organic removal capacity. So yeah, I would say Purigen is similar to carbon. Like if you have driftwood in your tank and if you have Indian almond leaves and alder cones, like having Purigen in your filter is going to pull all those tannins out that could be a negative to your tank. Helps control ammonia nitrate and nitrate. Yeah, so like I always try to stay away from chemical filtration. Personally, I like a more natural approach. And chemical filtration, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not something that I go after. I don't think it's as necessary if you're doing everything right on the front end. But that being said, like, potentially, like if I kept Purigen in my tank, maybe when we got fish in, they would have a lot less problems up front. But again, like I really haven't used it. Yeah, so CV said Purigen clears any tint from the water, I think. Anthony Rodriguez said, thank you very much for the information. Very important. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Rob said preventative. That pumpkin spice is kicking in. Yeah. Yeah, you know me. I really can't say big words. Very simple. Very simple. We already got Eduardo's question. Mains, tails, fur, and fins. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and good morning to you also. Eduardo said, at Flip Aquatics, thank you for the advice. Now ordering the other 2 items you mentioned. P.S. All your shrimp are doing great, new babies and all. Well, before you go and order, make sure to stay tuned. We're going to go get into the product or the weekly special. So the weekly special is coming up. So before you go and spend money, make sure that you get your discount code. So I'll go over all that stuff. But with all that being said, we got the shrimp tip of the week. We talked about some Q&A. You guys had some great questions. Multi-Tank Addiction said, I use all API products as my trio right now, but then again, they did sponsor me, so I have a ton of their stuff still. Fritz makes great stuff. I would love to try. Yeah, I've used API stuff for a long time. I mean, I have no problem with it. It's really hard to get right now. Like, they're having supply issues. But other than that, like, there's no point not to use it. I guess it's whatever you prefer. If you want to use what I use, I'll tell you what I use. If you want to use what other people use, that's completely fine. Do your thing. But API could definitely work. They have very similar meds and very similar decoordinators and things like that. So let's go over the new product of the week. Now, you guys got a little sneak preview of this on accident, but I got these babies listed yesterday, and I'm really excited about it. This is a product that I know that our team was really excited for, and my livestock people were like, can we please get these, please? And I'm like, yeah, we can try them. Like, we'll see how they sell and go from there. So these are clown plecos, super passive, very not aggressive, very not aggressive. They're just a phenomenal community fish. I would say that they would be safe with shrimp. Now, granted, you can always have a pleco that goes on a tangent and starts eating baby shrimp, but I would highly doubt it because the main source of their food is driftwood. And so these guys, like, most likely they're going to be completely safe. If you have driftwood in your tank, they're going to be non on that. Most shrimp tanks do have driftwood, so you're going to be good. Malaysian driftwood, spiderwood, any of those, Mapani. Mapani would probably be my last suggestion just because it's such a dense wood. These guys probably would eat it, but I would probably stick to like Malaysian or something a little bit softer. So these guys are just awesome. They're super, super peaceful. They would be great in a community tank. The only time they show aggression is if you have different males in a tank in a pretty close proximity, they might go after each other. They do eat algae. Like, we feed them, I think, kelp wafers. We feed them a mix of Northfin foods. We do I think it's Bug Pro, Community, and Veggie Food are the 3 that we grind together with one of those electric grinders, pepper grinders. And we use that, and it works really well. We also use, this is pretty cool. Do you know the stuff that you wrap sushi with? We actually use those in their tank, and they eat those wraps. We get them on Amazon. And they get, I think, up to like 4 inches at most. Let me just confirm. Yep, 4 inches at most. So they stay pretty small, and they actually are a really pretty pleco. The only thing with plecos is like they like to hide, so you don't get to see them as much. But still, like, a great addition to a tank. This would be a great fish if you were setting up a shrimp tank and you wanted to make sure that the cycle was good and you didn't want to use snails. This would be a great fish to add in there. And I don't think they're too expensive. They're $12.99 a piece, which obviously the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. But just assume $12.99 a piece, so they're like $13. But really cool pleco, something different, something that we're trying out. We're adding bristlenose plecos soon to the website, albino and just regular bushy nose. And so we have some cool stuff going on. And that brings me to the discount for the week. Just to kind of update you guys. So we talked about Turbo Start, which is a live bacteria. We talked about Shrimp Prep and ACCR. We also talked about Maricin, and then we talked about the Clown Pleco. So this week, you guys can use the discount code that's down below. I think it's newsletter 2021. You can use that, and it takes 15% off all the things we talked about in today's video. So if you did want to try them, again, don't ever feel pressured. I never want to be sales pitchy. If you did want to try them, I think you should have them in your arsenal of just stuff laying around. Definitely give it a try. You can save 15% this week. And so yeah. So CV said seaweed is the wrap over sushi. Yes. And it's really good for them. So you can get it on Amazon. I don't know the exact link. But if anybody really wants to know, leave a comment on the video. I'll try to find the link and link it. And yeah, they tear it up. We feed that to a lot of our algae eaters, like our plecos. We also feed it to our snails sometimes. Like anything that eats algae loves that stuff. And we do green beans as well, canned green beans, non-salted. Losing my voice talking with you guys, man. This is a good talk. So that's the new product of the week. I do want to give some shout outs to some new members and some old members as well. Let me see here. So we got 2 brand new members that have never been members before. MT Lee joined today. So shout out to MT Lee. Anthony Rodriguez joined today as well. Thank you so much. Nick Burton joined 2 days ago. Brand new member. Never been a member before. So the 3 of you, shout out to you guys. Last week we had Shrimpscape join up. And so Shrimpscape, thank you so much for joining up. And there were some other people that rejoined and became members. So thank you to them. And thank you to you guys for your support. I know this is members only chat. So I know there's a decent amount of members in here. Thank you guys so much for being a member and supporting what we do here at Flip Aquatics. And you make a lot of things possible. Like this whole breeding rack behind me was inspired by you guys and your suggestions. I know Ollie Taylor and Will Sure Aquatics were the 2 that really pushed me to do it. So shout out to those 2, and thank you to all you members for allowing me to do what I do every single day and be successful at it. And a lot of my success comes from you guys. So I really, really, really appreciate it. And so let's go through and give some shout outs to some members. I always like going through. I'm gonna pick like 5 of you guys today and give some shout outs. So first up, we got SC Aquatics, which I don't know if I saw Steven in here, but I do want to give him a shout out. He's been a member for like 20 months and a big supporter of our channel. And let's show you his channel. So SC Aquatics, just a great guy. Also runs a small business. We've been in talks about bringing him on as a general manager, and just a phenomenal guy. Really nice guy. Great heart. Great personality. We call him my stunt double. He needs to shave his head real good though now, and then he can be my official stunt double. But yeah, check out SC Aquatics. Great guy and a phenomenal person. And then we got David W. I think we gave a shout out to David last week. He's been a member for 19 months. Vatic 85, again, somebody that's been a member for 19 months. That's crazy. We got my buddy James. Let me share this. James is a great guy as well. James Fishroom Fever has been a member for 18 months. Real big supporter. He's a great guy. He's always at Aquashella. He's come to Aquashella Dallas, and I'm excited to hang out with him and talk with him. And they did a really fun stream on the Aquashella YouTube channel. So again, thank you to James for his support of this channel and being a part of our little Flip Aquatics family. And then who else we got? The water box, my buddy. Let me share this. So if you've never, it's Chung. If you've never gone and seen his channel, go check it out. He does all kinds of stuff. I don't know if he's super active right now. Yeah, his last video was 6 months ago, so he's not very active right now. But he always had like a really cool live stream where he would like play games during the live stream. And so again, real great guy. Again, a big supporter of the FishTube community. And then we got Gordon Dooley. Shout out to him, 18 months. And then last but certainly not least, my buddy Papa Shrimp. Let me share his channel too. This is Papa Shrimp. This is Jerry. He actually came in and helped us for a couple months and was a part of our Flip Aquatics team here and helped us get to where we are today. So huge shout out to Jerry. He's had a lot of stuff happen lately. He's had heart surgery and all kinds of stuff. Like, poor guy just keeps getting kicked. His house burnt down. Like, so much stuff has happened to him. But yeah, he's just a good dude. And so shout out to Jerry. I don't know if he's been making videos either. How am I not subscribed to him? That's embarrassing. My bad. Sorry, Jerry. Don't judge me. Yeah, he's still making videos. He's got one for 2 weeks ago. He's partnered up with Jadrin Aquatics, and they're doing a pet store together. And so it looks like that's what they're doing here. But yeah, really cool stuff. So poor Jerry. He's had so much happen to him. And so shout out to those members. And then I did see a new member come in. Stephen Grams, thank you so much for becoming a supporter here at Flip Aquatics, becoming a Shrimp family member. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for tuning in and signing up. It really means a lot. And before I forget, I see, man, I must have missed it. It's Multi-Tank Addiction dropping a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you so much for that, too. I really do appreciate it. And so thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for being a part of Flip Aquatics and the journey that we're on together. It just it means a lot to me, and I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, it's really, really cool. So CV asked a question, so we got some time. I'll do a couple questions from the members. CV said, snowflake food is more like regular food, but can be left in the tank till it's gone. It doesn't foul the water. That's absolutely true. It's one of the best like vacation type foods. Now I would never drop a ton of food in a tank before I left for vacation, but I would drop one piece or two pieces in the tank, and then they can pick at them for a couple of days. And here's a little second tip. If I was going on vacation like for a week, I wouldn't even feed my shrimp. Like, I would much rather them not be fed than risk somebody overfeeding them. So whenever like I was, younger in the business and I would have somebody watch the shrimp, I would just tell them like, hey, just check for deaths. Like, if there's any deaths, like take them out, make sure everything's good. Let me know if there's any high numbers, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it's really, you don't really have to worry about the food too much because they get a lot from the water column and the driftwood and the leaves that are in the water. Adding too much bacteria AE can deoxygenate. Oh gosh. Oh man, deoxygenate the tank. I got it. And half the dosage on the packaging. You really just need a rice grain size amount. Yeah, bacteria AE. I mean, I feed a ton of it, but I always ease into it. So like, granted, I have very oxygenated aquarium, so I'm not worried about that. But a lot of people say overdoing it on the bacteria you could definitely kill your shrimp, so it makes complete sense. So yeah, don't overdo it on bacteria. Less is always better whenever it comes to food. Never overdo it. Some crazy stuff going on out there. Them guys are drilling tanks and having a good old time. So what's up, guys?
What's up? I told him to try to keep me down.
Yeah, you did a good job. They said they're trying to keep you down, but yeah, so that's Tyler and Mark. They're getting some stuff done. But yeah, so there's just a lot of good stuff going on. But thank you guys for the questions again, members. Thank you so much for being here, supporting the channel. So much love from me to you guys. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. I appreciate you guys. Oh, let me do this. So channel members, I want to say we're up to 110. So we're going forward one at a time, baby, one at a time. So thank you to all the people that tuned in today. Thank you for all the people that joined today. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. As always, God bless. Make it a great week. Don't forget to go check out Joe's live stream. He's doing it after this, Joe's Shrimp Shack. But you guys make it a phenomenal week. As always, God bless, and we'll catch you on the flip side.